So let's kind of go, this is the expertise and the experience I have in working in this so long. I'm going to highlight this. Of course, our theme of the show in using good judgment is also making sure that before making any type of financial decision, you ask yourself or the advisor, when I make this investment or when I do this strategy, how much use, flexibility, and control I have. So Aaron's going to go full screen here, Aaron. So here's the parameters. We've got a couple who's age 65. They currently own their own home, but they're thinking of buying a second home in Florida. All right, he's got a small pension, Social Security, living on some of the dividends on some stock. I'll go over this in a minute. 401k, et cetera, et cetera. So they got a good asset base here. This is a typical client I might see who comes to us and wants our help with retirement planning. Now, one of the goals, though, this is important. They want to take this current money, this Florida home they're looking at is around $300,000, but they want no debt. Well, you say, well, how are they going to pull that off, Tony? This is where planning requires expertise and experience, because a lot of people are rushing out with advisors and putting money in all these products. And as you'll see, they lose the use, flexibility, and control because they've never thought in the future that their plans might actually change, which they probably will. So as we look at this, first of all, they got their current home. Well, they're not going to sell that. I guess you could say, well, Tony, is that home paid for? Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the home for a minute. Again, we're just imagining these poor people, where in the world are they going to get this money if their goal is to not have any debt? Well, you could go get a home equity line of credit or some sort of second mortgage, but if your original goal was have a home paid for, I don't think you're going to want to go out and borrow $300,000 against your current home to buy a home in Florida. You could, but probably not the best solution. Then you got the current 401k. You could say, well, hey, Tony, this is silly. I figured this out. Well, I'll just take the $300,000. We're not using it anyway. We'll liquidate it, and then we'll go buy the home. Well, what you forget there is you got this darn tax tumor. So if you were to do that, $300,000 of income goes on your tax return immediately. Okay, let me repeat that. If this person were to just liquidate that 401k, assuming it's pre-tax, $300,000 hits the tax return with state and federal taxes, you're looking at roughly $90,000. That's in taxes. So that only leaves you $210,000. We're still short here, folks. Plus, you would lose all the opportunity growth on that because you don't have a 401k anymore to grow. Is this making sense? Okay. So that may not be the best solution. We go to savings. Well, they don't have enough savings, so probably wouldn't even be enough for a down payment. So scratch savings. By the way, that's another thing, folks. I met with a couple yesterday, and I just love these types of meetings. And they've got these huge 401k and IRA plans, and they've done a great job. Don't get me wrong. They're in their mid-60s, and they've got about $10,000 in savings. And I said, why don't we have more in savings? They said, well, we don't want to take any taxes on this money. And I said, folks, the way I can arrange this right now with these low tax brackets as we record this show in 2023, it's crazy not to take some winnings off the table, take the tax hit, and move on and get some money in savings. So we can work with you on this balance between leaving all this money exposed to the tax tumor, dealing with the tax tumor now, and getting you some savings so you can have some cash as king like Berkshire Hathaway right now. All right, this is interesting. NQ means non-qualified stock. So there's a lot of employers, well, not a lot, but some employers will offer certain employees stock options or stock grants. And a lot of times those things are given pre-tax, sometimes they have to pay the taxes. In this case, this stock over time has grown to $400,000. The person that got the stock grants had to pay taxes on up to $200,000. That's called the cost basis. Now the stock has grown, and this is real important to know because if he said, well, yeah, I'll just liquidate the stock. That's $400,000. Well, his cost basis is $200,000. That means $200,000 is exposed to taxes, and at a 20% tax rate, capital gains are lower, of course. That's still $40,000 in taxes, okay? Plus, this person was living on the dividends from the stock. So to sell the stock, you lose your dividends, which you were using for income, plus you got taxes and you're done with the stock. Now you got a Florida home, but don't know if that's the best solution. So as we look at this, you might be saying, well, Tony, you've kind of exhausted all efforts. What is the solution? Well, the solution is to get a plan like this in place, you have to meet with me. We have to go through all of these parameters, and hopefully if you're working with me now as you move into the future, we have things set up so we don't have these problems.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips, and be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.